Oh, he started it. Every time. I wish there was like a little sound pop-up.
I was being very patient. I've always wondered, like, I always come to the podcast shirtless and a lot less clothes. Why do you guys never do that? It's just us. They can't see this.
Well, because when this happens, I've usually been awake for like 3 hours.
So why?
Because I'm like, I gotta go take my dog outside. And I don't.
Isn't it hot out?
Undressed.
It's 100 degrees in fucking where I'm at right now.
I feel like you've talked about exactly where you're at plenty of time.
but I could have moved. I don't know why I got scared of doxing myself in that moment. Maybe it's because I've been like shirtless and now they know I'm naked and vulnerable during recording.
Yeah.
And they'll triangulate and find out
your...
when we record, and then they're gonna scout. You know those people, those streamers recently, where they're like, they have a picture and they're like, Zambibia, or like shit in like 2 seconds.
Yeah,
and they, like,
GeoGuessr.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what, like, there's a certain subgroup of people who listen to podcasts that can figure out where they're located.
Echolocation.
Mm-hmm. They just listen for the sounds of the tough cut. Our voices are unmistakable.
Yeah. By the way, it's bouncing off the walls. He's definitely in Zanzibar. I'm recording this from Zanzibar.
That was a song I sang in choir
Zanzibar.
when I was
Zanzibar
in
to fight the Zanzibar Barbarians.
Cool. Well,
Zanzibar.
Gonzo.
Leo, Leo.
Hello and welcome back. We're the Tough Cut Podcast. And this is episode 69.
And that's why I'm shirtless. Why are you guys not shirtless?
Jake, I'm pantsless.
Together, you make one nude man. This is episode 69. Nice. Part 3 of our rom-com bracket. And I'm Matthew.
I'm Alex.
I'm sexy Jake this time around.
Whoa,
Sexy Jake.
Yeah.
Bringing a new energy.
Yeah, for
to the
those who
podcast.
don't even know what I look like at all, who listen, yeah, you just imagine, ooh, Jake's shirtless? Wow. I wonder what that thing looks like. Ooh.
That thing being his one large nipple.
Yeah, well, okay, you know? That was a secret.
Coming at you on today's episode, Stellar Improv and 2 matchups.
That was scripted, actually.
This whole episode is. Honestly, it's a joke we use all the time. Mm-hmm. This podcast is all scripted because you only get jokes like these when they've been pre-written. Coming at you in today's episode, we've got Parent Trap versus Pretty Woman and The Wedding Singer versus DDLJ.
Wow, guys, I just realized none of my movies moved on.
I thought Parent Trap got voted out for some reason.
Well, it was up against There's Something About Mary. So.
Oh, that's right. Big win for the boy.
You know, I think, Alex, you picked good movies, just bad matchup luck. It happens.
Yeah. I mean, There's Something About Mary. I don't think it's a good movie.
Wait, I was going to say,
that was a bad one.
There's Something About Mary?
Yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah, we burned that out of our brains.
Hey, Jake, do you want to introduce Parent Trap?
Yeah. I could totally do that. Parent Trap. It's 1998, directed by Nancy Myers, not the one from Stranger Things. I'm appealing to our youth and
the youths.
But yeah, this Parent Trap. It's a remake of the 1961 film. There are twins. They're strangers. They got separated early on because of a divorce. Pretty messy. Things got crazy. There's a prequel where it's just a courtroom. And they go to camp and they find out, wait, we kind of look like each other. But they don't really solve that right away. It takes some like shenanigans of them being, shenaniganed together. So they switch places. One goes to the British one goes to America. The American one goes to Britain.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm giggling.
Okay, I didn't think... I love this movie so much. I didn't think it was possible, Jake, that you could ruin The Parent Trap for me. But it might have just happened.
Nice. Look, they're just trying to get their family together again. There's two twins. They don't really know the nuances of why they divorced. It could have been real messy, but they're like, they still love each other because they're kids. And so they're just trying to make their family whole again.
Nice. There we go. We got there.
Nice.
And
I love it again.
on the other side of the bracket, we've got Pretty Woman, released in 1990, directed by Gary Marshall.
Gary Marshall.
Not in SpongeBob. Appealing to the youth.
Thanks. And yeah, big business corporate raider. He makes a lot of money, but he's bad at relationships. And then we've got the sex worker with a heart of gold, Vivian, who slowly melts his icy heart as they fall in love after he hires her. Yeah, that's the short and sweet of it. So, talking about these two movies, I actually want to first address Parent Trap a little bit.
Don't do it. It's a trap.
Thank you. And something I feel like we didn't get into is how asinine and ridiculous the parents' plan was. Like,
oh, for the divorce?
Yeah, be like, you get one child, I get the other, and we never tell them that they have a sibling.
Like, the courts agreed to that, right?
Like,
yeah!
They were okay with that.
The courts agreed with that shit, and that's kind of dark when you really think about it.
Here's my thing with it. These kids literally never would have known, never would have been an issue, never would have come up in their lives, except for the off chance they both happened to go to this one little camp together. Yeah. They never would have.
Well,
you know,
I kind of disagree with that because these are two rich people, right? They're rich. Yeah. So they're going to grow up and they have a high percentage of being really successful because they're rich and white. So if they would have gotten publicity for being rich and successful, they would have seen, hey, that motherfucker looks just like me. Or they would have been like, so that's a possibility. Or it just would have been like someone did a background check on these motherfuckers because they're rich and be like,
okay,
hey.
But this is also in the 90s. It's not the internet age. You don't have as much of like
when they're like 40, it's going to be current time. Like, you know,
right, but they didn't know that there was going to be like Instagram and social media where you can just see everyone all the time.
They knew. The rich knew stuff like that before we did.
Oh, yeah.
All right. You're right. All right. I'm ready to vote.
Is that your conspiracy here, Jake? That
yeah.
Okay.
Rich people know about apps before they happen.
Yeah, Matt, did you know?
Oh, God.
That's why he was so silent during that portion. He knew.
Yeah, I'm sussing out how much Jake knows. Is he going to expose us?
Does he need to be killed?
Also... Our two romantic leads, Nick and Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Do you think they got married on the boat because, you know, a captain can marry people legally on the ocean?
Yeah, I think it was like I think the story we don't get is they met on spring break.
On that fancy ass cruise ship, they were on spring break.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like spring break for rich people. I don't know. And, they met on it, and it was like Vegas rules.
Vegas rules. Well, like, a captain can marry... Like, if you're out to sea, a captain can marry anybody on a boat. I don't know why, but they can.
Why aren't more captains just holding people hostage, making them get married?
I was with you till the holding them hostage piece.
Yeah.
So the first thing I said.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted... I feel like... I don't know. We didn't dig into that stuff. And I feel like it's critical to the Parent Trap, you know, is that these parents, they not okay.
The parents were the ones trapping. Yeah.
The Parent Trap actually was the parents were trapped by a captain who made
forced to get married, which is why they're like going no contact. We each take a child. That makes sense. So,
which is a movie I'd love to see.
We talked about this a little bit for Pretty Woman, where we were like, yeah, likely their relationship is not going to last because his lifestyle is definitely not going to change. In the Parent Trap, do we think the parents stay together?
I kind of think so. I think it's harder to break up when the kids are older. Of course, you know,
and now they know each other exists.
Right.
Yeah.
It adds a layer that they aren't ready to deal with.
Yeah.
And then I think too, like they're both rich and successful. Neither of them seem like they're going to be unfaithful. They do like each other. I think they'll stay together.
Do you think they move to Napa or to London?
Halfway, they go to Cleveland.
I bet Napa, because she can design wedding dresses in other places.
Yeah,
but
whereas he can't do his
isn't.
humble farm work.
Yeah. That makes sense. Do we think the butler and the nanny stay together?
I think
tough.
it's strictly a sexual relationship.
It feels like it's very hot and heavy.
I think it's fast and loose, hot and heavy.
Candle that burns from both ends kind of deal.
Yeah, but it's a long candle.
That seems like a super ineffective candle, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone would make that. But
yeah, but it'd be really cool.
Know?
Imagine grabbing it in the middle, they're lit on both ends, and you twirl it.
And you spray wax everywhere.
Cool. Oh, cool.
That's nice. Pretty sexy, too. I bet they do that.
Yeah, as you can tell, audience, we're just really full
of I do have an
actual
point. I do have an actual point. Matt.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to reconsider whether or not The Parent Trap is a rom-com. And here's why.
Okay.
Hey, fuck off.
I think... No, I'm telling Matt to think of it as a rom-com.
Yeah, because
I think of it as a rom-com with you.
Yeah.
So, I think a classic rom-com story is the story of two people trying to get two other people to come to, like, get together. Like, trying to get two people to date.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this movie is.
Yeah, except normally when that is the plot, like, there was I can't remember what the name of it is, the setup or something, where the two employees try to get their bosses to date because they're like, damn, our lives are miserable, which is pretty fun.
That's actually a really good movie.
Yeah, it's cute.
I really like it. I read the script for that, and it's like a tight script. It's a good script.
Really?
Nice.
There's a newer one that was Charlie Day and Jenny Slate too, where they they each got broken up with by the love of their life, and then they like try to get them back together, but then they fall in love.
Yeah. So normally, when that is the
plot, that's the movie.
Yeah. Thank you. Normally, when that is the plot, you don't spend 45 minutes not having that be the plot, because it isn't until like 40 minutes into The Parent Trap that they are like, oh, we actually even like get to see the parents, you know?
But okay, so here's my thing. This movie has to establish who the characters are and why it matters.
Yeah, but you spend 40 minutes doing camp antics, and if you really wanted the romance to be front and center, you could have cut that down and had the romance
was the first scene we saw at the boat.
Yeah.
That's the first thing we saw. It establishes the whole thing.
Yes, and then you spend literally 40 minutes just like goofing off at camp, which like I love, you know? It's funny and a good family comedy. I just don't think that is setting you up to be a romantic film, you know? And then they don't even see each other again until like over an hour into the movie. There's like 20 minutes of runtime left, you know? And I just don't think that makes for a good rom-com.
In my mind, I think it's taking the time to fully develop each of the characters, because I think what you need is a reference to the children and how the children affected their relationship.
I mean, it's giving context to like this movie's trying to like subvert, like, you know, like classic rom-com with like still like it's mainly comedic, it's mainly like the premises, whatever, but it's centered at the heart of these two kids. Like, it's not the thing like in Set It Up where like the people who are setting up the people falling in love, they also fall in love. It's more these two sisters are learning to love each other because they never got a chance to as sisters, but then romantically set up a relationship because they believe in love so much. So it's seeing someone try to set up people who believe in love so much, but they're just like, you know, they're just a vessel.
A vessel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the hump to get me to agree when The Parent Trap is not matched up against There's Something About Mary, to agree that Parent Trap is a rom-com is pretty high, because like, to me, a rom-com has to spend, you know, most of its runtime on that relationship, and I don't think The Parent Trap does that. You know, the first 40 minutes is like the two girls getting to know each other, and then the next half an hour is them getting to know their respective parents. And then the final
so much
20
of that,
minutes,
when they're getting to know their parents, so much of the establishing information we get about their parents is the way that they were affected by the relationship in the past and where they are now, and like how they still think about that past relationship. We get that constantly in that 30 minutes when we first meet those characters again.
I guess. I don't know if I'd go with
I feel
constantly.
like so much of what we get about the two parents is their current relationship status, like how they feel about the kids, like how they it's so much of what we get for those two characters is about their relationship. So I think I don't think you can discount it.
I mean, I just disagree, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just don't I don't think that amount of dedication to like an active relationship is enough to like having a romantic subplot to me doesn't make something a romance movie. It just means it has a romantic subplot. You know, like would we call Transformers a romance because it has a romantic subplot? Oh, okay.
One of our viewers would.
Okay, but
one
like
of our
here's the
viewers
thing.
probably will in honorable mentions.
Like Transformers at the end of the day isn't about the relationship that is forming inevitably.
That is true.
With Parent Trap, the entire movie is building to this relationship. Like the entire arc of the movie of them getting back together is the entire goal of what the kids are trying to do.
Conflict.
Yeah,
is
like
that
I guess
parents aren't
I will
together.
agree with that, but I think more centrally it's about the two sisters. You know, like it's about their relationship and them coming together as a family. And by product of that, they bring their parents back together and become a familial unit. It's a movie about family, not a movie about romance.
You think family can't be romantic? Watch Game of Thrones.
I prefer when family doesn't get romantic.
You heard it here first, folks. Matthew hates Game of Thrones.
Whereas on the other hand, like Pretty Woman is explicitly about their romance. You know, like that is upfront what the movie's doing. Sure, it's not. I guess if you want to call Parent Trap a subversive rom-com because it's structurally its romantic partners are not the main characters, I guess go for it. Whereas Pretty Woman is like undeniably a rom-com. You know, the romance is front and center, and like, go ahead.
I agree with that. What I think is interesting is that we are edging closer because Pretty Woman is undoubtedly a rom-com. There's Something About Mary was undoubtedly a rom-com. But Pretty Woman is a better movie than There's Something About Mary. My question is, and this is what I'm considering when I vote for this, do I think Pretty Woman is a good enough movie to beat out The Parent Trap? Because I personally don't like the ending of Pretty Woman at all.
Sure.
I don't think it resolves the conflict that they have. I don't think it resolves his character conflict enough to like actually be a satisfying ending. Like his character flaw throughout the movie is that they tell us he's always focused more on work than on women. But the entire movie that he's with Viv, he's getting shit from Jason Alexander because he's focusing more on Viv than on the business. And so I don't
and then he beats him up and fires him, and then does a romantic gesture. Does a huge romantic gesture. Like I feel like if anyone's character flaw is resolved, the movie's trying to tell you it's his. You may not believe
because
it.
Because the entire movie he has resolved his character flaw already. It doesn't feel satisfying to me because the entire movie he's already doing.
So then he resolved
more about Viv, right? But then I don't care about. Like, I don't think he has an active flaw throughout the film. Like, they tell us he has that flaw at the beginning, and then it is suddenly fixed when Viv is in his life. Like, I don't get a satisfying conclusion to his arc. Because I feel like it's fixed right away when she's in his life, because he's basically the entire time he's with her, spends the time with her instead of working on business. Which is the runtime of the movie.
Mm. Well, I do think the grand romantic gesture part, like, of Pretty Women, like, is, like, queued up in the whole film, you know, like the whole fantasy of like the knight saving from a castle and whatever, and he climbs the fire escape like a castle and like whatever does the thing. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. I think that's a pretty, like, I don't see that as like a bad ending. I don't see.
No, it's not a bad ending. Like, it's a good romantic gesture. I just think if you're thinking thematically about like what these characters deal with the whole movie and then what their final like fight is about, it like doesn't resolve any of it.
I mean, I think it's meant to be a promise to resolve it. You know, we're like, sure. You know, we talked about this a little bit the first time we talked about Pretty Woman. And yeah, like, could they have done, a flash forward to show them happily in their relationship?
Yeah, like at Hogwarts Station, and they age them up, and then they...
ideally, you know, and maybe throw a kid in there, and that kid is, you know, going. Whereas, like, I just functionally don't think Parent Trap is a rom-com. So, like, regardless of how good of a movie Parent Trap is, like,
right,
you know, it's not gonna, I don't think you're gonna talk me into it, you know?
What if I gave you money?
Oh shit, now you're speaking my language.
What if I paid you off?
Jake, you already did that for There's Something About Mary. You were really worried. I don't know why.
I was really worried. I thought you loved it. I thought you fucking loved
my exact kind of movie. Yeah, I just don't really think of it as a rom-com at the end of the day.
How about in the beginning of the day?
Well, you know, my mind might change then.
Okay, cool. That's for you echolocators, so you can't figure out when we're recording.
They can't track Jake down.
Nice.
Oh, also, not at all relevant to our conversation. Sorry to pull us back into the weeds of dumb shit. But when they're fencing, they don't clearly establish what kind of fencing it is. However, based on the fact,
eagle-eyed viewers out there,
based on the fact that they are slashing would imply that this is saber fencing. However, the target areas in which they're going for are not conducive to saber fencing. Rather, it is they're attacking the full body as if it's épée fencing. And I feel like the movie is not true to the sport.
Okay, I'll write him. Okay, I'll write him.
Thank you. I really want future fencing scenes to be accurate.
Dude, Gary's gonna get it from me. All right.
Is there a version of fencing where you're allowed to just like run around a cool arena?
No.
Oh.
That'd be really
that's
cool,
what is that called? It's like HEPA or something, where you just like actually fight.
Oh
with
yeah,
swords.
where you can't say like, you know, it's like a
medical
patient
knowledge.
confidentiality. Yeah, you can't say.
Yeah.
I will say, Alex, challenge you a little bit with the ending of Pretty Woman.
Sure.
A thing that I like often is when films like don't actually tie everything up in a bow, and I know rom-coms usually are supposed to do that and give you this feeling of love or whatever, but I don't care about supposed to in genres like films. I think it's more fun when it's kind of like ooga booga. And that's why I like Pretty, like it's more realistic that it's not like, and then they lived happily. It's like,
I don't think it needs to be like a happy ending to feel resolved, but in my mind, it's just like, I don't think it's done thematically well, which to me, a rom-com generally has a very like simple, straightforward theming of like, not necessarily like in complexity, but in like, you get the theme, you understand what they're fighting about, you understand what the resolution is. I feel like in this movie, you get it, but it doesn't feel connected in the same way. Like anything else could have happened at the beginning of the movie and they could have had the same fight at the end. You know? That's kind of where I'm coming from.
Godzilla came.
Yeah. Godzilla could have come and destroyed like the whole city and they're fleeing the city. Okay. And he's like, no, okay, 100%. Godzilla could have come, destroyed the whole city. Right. They flee off to England or wherever he has a second house, or New York or wherever. And she's still a poor person in a like hoity-toity society, and he doesn't know how to defend her in that. It's the same thing.
I don't buy it, but if we put giant robots in, then I understand.
Yeah, because that's more reflecting on society. Godzilla's like a nature. That's like nature fighting
exactly.
back.
Okay, yeah, here we go. Giant robots come.
Call them Transformers,
Godzilla shows
maybe.
Up. Godzilla shows up.
Call them
Godzilla shows up, destroys Los Angeles. The Changers come in and start fighting Godzilla back. That's great. They save the day. But cut to 30 years later, more Godzillas come. They're all over the place, destroying a bunch of cities. Who has enough money to hire the Changers to fight the Godzillas? Rich people. So, inevitably, you get societies of rich people that are defended by the Changers. Where does Vivian end up? In one of these societies with whatever the rich guy's name is. She feels out of place still. Same end of the movie.
What if they go to a poor society?
Well, then
they won't, because he's rich and he would take them to a place where they can pay the Changers to defend them.
So what if someone goes in the system, makes money cost $0, You know,
well, now you're introducing outside elements to the story, and it's not a fair comparison. Jake.
Yeah, the Godzillas and all was
wait,
the realm of reasonability.
Wait,
Jake, you can't just go upending a whole economic system.
Right. So I crossed the line when I touched people's money. Fucking society, dude. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, capitalism's too entrenched. That's why we can't change it. So in this universe, Nick and Elizabeth, are you saying they work because they both rich? So
they both rich. Family safe.
Family safe.
I feel like that canceled out PEMDAS.
PEMDAS, two rich people makes no rich people because you just spend each other's money.
Yeah. Do you think they have joint bank accounts?
No.
Yeah. Sorry. And with that knowledge, I have my vote. That was the last clarifying question that I needed to make this vote.
I can go first because I think it's very obvious. I'm voting for Pretty Woman. I think Parent Trap's a good movie. I just don't think it's a rom-com.
I guess I can go next. I don't know. I think in this argument, I've ended up being more anti-Pretty Woman than I really am. But I think at the end of the day, I still think Parent Trap is a better rom-com than Pretty Woman. So I'm voting Parent Trap.
I am going to vote for Pretty Woman.
Whoa.
I love the Parent Trap. I pitched it. But it is some about Pretty Women feels daring for when it got made, and I like its like kind of non-full resolution, and I think it does feel more quintessential 90s rom-com, whereas Parent Trap is a remake. And it is in the 90s.
It feels like a 1950s romance.
But that romance is, that's a 1950s romance.
Or 61, sorry, is when the original came out.
But yeah, I'm gonna go against my own. I'm gonna kill my own puppy.
Darling. Whoa.
Oh.
Jake.
Sorry, no, I didn't mean it.
Jake, save him for Godzilla. With that, Pretty Woman moves on. It doesn't matter because both of them will lose to the wedding singer in the end.
Yeah, and I can introduce the wedding singer.
Yeah, go ahead. Wait, actually, okay. This is unprecedented. I am going to ask Matt to reconsider his vote for DDLJ at the end of last episode.
Oh my gosh.
I think there is an important argument to be made that we didn't discuss, and I think it might just change everything.
Oh boy.
I think DDLJ is an incredible movie. It is so good. It did not need to be made in the 90s. It could have been made now. It could have been made in the early aughts. It could have been made in the 80s. I think You've Got Mail could only have been made in the 90s, and it is quintessential 90s. If you want to just disregard this, totally fine. I'm happy to move on. I felt it needed to be said.
That's tough, because it is a very good point. I just wish there had been a world where these movies hadn't met in the first round. Do you want to give me a response to that, Jake, or something? Because I think I need a second to think.
I mean, while You've Got Mail coming out in the 90s is like really interesting and like benefit in hindsight, I also think it could come out later, and like we actually talked about during it could come out later and it could be even better, like because we have more of a grasp on technology and it can become more understandable. Like I don't necessarily agree with the argument that it has to be 90s. I think it makes it more interesting to look at in hindsight, but if a movie like that came out now, there could be way more nuance with like technology and all that stuff, because that's like at the forefront of it. And like DDLJ, like it is a product of the 90s. Sure, it didn't have to be, but that's just the power of, like, I mean, like, it's just because it was such a well-crafted movie, like, it did come out in the 90s, and it's wild that it did, because like, yeah, it could come out today and do really well, but it came out in the 90s and still did well for years.
Yeah, it's true. It was in theaters for 20 years.
Which, to me, makes it seem like it didn't have to be the 90s.
Well, it just makes it timeless. Just because a movie comes out in the time period and it becomes timeless, I don't think.
I think something being timeless means it doesn't need to be in that decade that it came out. Versus, I feel like You've Got Mail. While I agree, there is a lot of technology now that you could add relevance and thought. I think the way that it was structured, the way that the internet age was growing at that time, was so central to the movie. If you did it now, it would lack something.
If you did it now, you'd cast Noah Centineo and he'd be swiping on the Super Tinder. It's only funny if you have watched the 1,000 movies Noah Centineo's been in, and they're all dog shit. Why do I know his filmography so well? I don't know, man.
It's a Joey King thing, you know?
Okay, you don't gotta go there.
It's a...
Matt, if you think this is too hard of a decision, I can make it easy for you and we can just discount it. I would have lost something if I hadn't said it.
I think it's a really good point. I do think You've Got Mail is specifically elevated by the 90s, but I do think that there is this element of being a timeless classic that, you know, just because something can do well in its decade and outside of its decade doesn't make it less legitimate for the title of, like, best of that decade, you know? Yeah, so I think
I get that.
I'll stick with DDLJ and just wish there'd been a world where, you know, maybe first round it had gone up against There's Something About Mary, you know?
yeah, 100%.
But thank you for bringing that up. I think it's a really good point because it is very central to, like, how we viewed the internet in the 90s. Mm-hmm. With that, I can introduce The Wedding Singer. The Wedding Singer, released in 1998, directed by Frank Carrassi. Robbie, a high school musician turned wedding singer, lives in his hometown, and is left at the altar by his stinky ex. Very rude. And comes upon Julia, who starts waitressing at the event hall where he works, as she is preparing for her wedding to turbo asshole Glenn. Robbie and Julia slowly start to hit it off, and the rest is history. Jake, do you want to introduce DDLJ?
I sure do. DDLJ, 1995, directed by Atya Chopra. You know, it's Raj is a rich, carefree, you know, happy-go-lucky dude. Simran is the daughter of a dude who's very strict about parental values. Simran has left to India to be married to her childhood fiance, and Raj leaves for India with a mission to claim his lady love under the noses of her whole family. And again, I just love that in the description it says at the end, "Thus begins a saga." It's just like such a funny, like it's also like such a yada yada if someone's like writing like a Bollywood, like a long movie, like, you know, synopsis. They're like, and thus begins the movie. The movie happens.
Yeah.
Right out the gate, two things. One, the "Somebody Kill Me Please" is in fact on the Wedding Singer like official movie soundtrack.
Oh yeah, and it's its most popular.
So you know that baby got immediately added to my I've been listening to it.
That's so funny.
Continues to be fire.
So Matt, is that your favorite song on that soundtrack?
I think so. I mean, there's probably something else that's like fits the movie really well and it's nice, but like "Somebody Kill Me Please" is just like too humorously like genuine trash core that I just gobble up like a little goblin.
Okay,
you are right.
I have a definitive favorite song from DDLJ, and I'm wondering if you guys have the same song.
Yeah, because like, right before you get into that, I think one of the big comparisons is that music is so intrinsic, and
For sure.
You know,
oh
whatever.
yeah.
So we could talk about those. I was really excited to talk about.
That's a real brain
we didn't get
comment.
to talk about. Yeah, no, I was ready. I was prepared with this one. Yeah, we didn't get to talk really about the music in DDLJ or The Wedding Singer. Really, we just talked about "Somebody Kill Me." But please, Alex, go ahead.
Well, I want to know what your guys are. For some reason I feel like we all have the same favorite song, even though we haven't discussed it at all.
Oh boy, but I feel like now there's pressure to pick because what if I don't have the same favorite song as Alex? Then Alex can be disappointed.
Okay, I won't be disappointed. I'll just say what mine is.
Okay.
He's gonna kiss me.
Mine is Rukaja Odile Douane, the one that's in the like French party that they turn into like a nightclub, and there's all the horns and everything.
That's a really good one.
It's so good. I was jamming to it earlier this morning. Like the music in it is so good. All the horns, the way that it's diegetic, like, oh, it's so fun. But what are your guys' favorite songs?
Oh, that one's really good. I love that most of the songs, it's maybe about 50-50 or 70-30. So many of the songs in this movie are diegetically occurring, which I think is so fun.
Which
Love
is
it.
honestly the same for Wedding Singer. All the songs in Wedding Singer.
Diegetic.
Exactly,
It was something I wanted to talk about with that movie. And I think that is just like, there's something about incorporating diegetic musical numbers that is just like so fun to me. And yeah, both of these movies do it in a really, really fun way. Sorry to cut you off, Jake, but what was your favorite?
No,
from,
you're
DDLJ?
totally good. It's the flower one. I kind of talked about it before. I just think it's so like fun and like it really like. I just love the little flower field. Something about it's really nice and like it feels romantic and fun.
Yeah, I have to be completely honest. You guys talk about the king of Bollywood, Shah Rukh Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I didn't really like him in this movie until this song. And this song is what, like 30 minutes into the movie?
You
40
scared the
minutes?
shit out of me.
But like this
30
song,
minutes into a 40 or 3 hour movie.
Yeah.
but like, you know, that's significant amount of time.
Is.
You know? But this song like so won me over. It's so much fun. It starts with like he does the dumb piano bit and he like stomps on the keys and it's like, okay, classic, that's what I expected. And then he like starts beautifully playing the piano and goes into this incredible dance number.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's so good.
So how do you guys feel about how DDLJ uses its music to elevate versus how The Wedding Singer does?
I think that's a really interesting question because DDLJ specifically has both the diegetic and non-diegetic music. And I feel like they almost serve different purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Like the diegetic ones, I feel like those are like very intrinsically tied to like things that are actively occurring and moving the story forward. Whereas the non-diegetic ones are very tied to like, I feel like higher level themes and things like that. So like the songs function differently, which I think is really interesting. Whereas The Wedding Singer, I feel like maybe not as like deep and lofty, but I think it elevates mostly its comedy through its music. And I am an absolute sucker for musical comedy. The recurring bit of singing the only knowing a single song and repeatedly singing that song at every type of event, regardless if it's a bar mitzvah or a wedding, is funny. Which is not to say it's like more legitimate to like unearth your story's themes through music versus which I think there's probably some theming going on in Wedding Singer's music.
Well, I think it's interesting. I think that it's kind of a hard battle because obviously the music in DDLJ is in Hindi. So like I don't understand as much of it. Like I don't feel the rhythm as much. Like I can't get as much out of it because I don't speak the language. But I feel like if I did, I would love them so much. They're such fun songs. The tune has been stuck in my head for like a week and a half. That is like their relationship theme in the movie. There's so much good stuff.
Sing it.
Well, no, I don't remember because now I have Rukaja Odile Douane is stuck in my head,
which is fair.
But I'll sing that.
Yeah.
Rukaja Odile Douane, ba ba ba,
rewatching the musical numbers from DDLJ and just like there's like so much going on. They're like genuine musical numbers.
Yeah,
you know, there's like choreography. There's just so many people involved in all of them. It's just so much fun, in a really infectious way.
Yeah, 100%.
So on, because you guys talked quite a bit with DDLJ's music, what are your reactions, thoughts for Wedding Singer's music? Do you think there's more to it than what I alluded to?
So
or?
I think, because I like it, and I think something we have to take note of is that, like, this is Adam Sandler, this young Adam Sandler. It was probably just a tool for him to do his silly Adam Sandler song, or just show that he can sing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
kill me, please.
Like, it's definitely the concept of this, and they knew Adam Sandler was going to be the lead. Like, they probably wrote it for him in mind. I don't know who the writers were, but it's probably SNL affiliated or some shit. Like, you know, like, whatever. I think it was used for Adam Sandler as a vessel to sing and feel romantic, but also funny, because he had that charm about him. And
Yeah.
so whether that, I don't think that cheapens it at all. I think they wrote it like smartly, but I think they wrote it for like an outside thing rather than, I don't know if I'm using the wrong words or verbiage, but you'll catch my drift. Whereas like DDLJ like uses it like for their film, and they knew they were gonna like incorporate it like in the film. Whereas when they use it for the film, but it's also like because Adam Sandler was known for like singing on SNL, doing silly songs. They're like, oh, this will be perfect.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting to me about it, and we talked about this a little bit last time, is that like this movie to me is not what I know Adam Sandler for. Like, I know Adam Sandler for the like shitty comedies that he did in the early 2000s, you know? And to me, I was so surprised at how much I liked his work in this movie. Like, I was surprised that his singing sounded so good.
Yeah. And it's all actually him singing. Yeah.
Honestly, the first time I heard him singing was in the movie 8 Crazy Nights. Shout out Jews and animated whatever. And that movie, a lot of it doesn't age well, but I kind of love it. I think it's just because, like, as a Jewish person, you don't get a lot of holiday movies, so I take what I get.
Hey, one day maybe we'll do a Jewish movies bracket.
We'll do Jewish movies bracket.
Uncut
and honestly,
gems.
I genuinely uncut gems.
Sorry, I
thought he sounded really good in 8 Crazy Nights. Like, there are certain songs where like they turned funny and stupid or whatever, but like I think he sounds really good. They make me emotional.
To throw an absolute wrench into things with a fun fact. As I said, I got a load of them for DDLJ because, well, actually, I don't know if I mentioned it for some other movie. Also, watch this. It's available on Amazon Prime Video.
Oh, fucking damn it. Jesus.
Guys, it's a contractual obligation, okay?
Once you work for Amazon, you can't go back. You can never go back.
But apparently, someone else was the first choice for the role of Raj.
What the fuck?
Do you want to know who?
Oh my god.
It's someone we all know.
Sandler?
Oh my god, it's gonna be Bill Murray.
Closer than you think.
Wait, what?
Wait,
who was it?
Who did you say?
He said Adam Sandler.
What?
Tom Cruise.
Stop it.
Was originally the first choice for Raj. However, he wanted too much money.
Yeah, that tracks.
Wow.
That tracks. That's hilarious. That, like, because he is like, it blows my mind sometimes to remember that Tom Cruise is a mega movie star. Like, he is. Like, he's like, people like they want Tom Cruise. He sells tickets and he's a movie star. This motherfucker got thought of for a Bollywood film.
I imagine the original script was different. Or when they were conceiving of it being Tom Cruise, it was different.
No, I'd like to believe it. I'd like to believe that he was second generation Indian.
I bet
insane.
they would have said that he was mixed race and that his mom was white. And
I bet they would have said he was like British and they like took over it. Like, it's like some like fucking like real bad shit.
It's a colonizer story. So that is another follow up that I want to make that we didn't talk about DDLJ, but I think it's culturally really significant for Bollywood films.
Absolutely, yeah.
The fact that Raj isn't born in India, that he's a second generation immigrant and Indian in like the archetypal sort of like big bold competing love interest, so to speak, or fiance of Simran is Indian from India, and Raj is the protagonist of the story is a like really significant point. That like just because you are not born in India doesn't make you less Indian is like a really significant thing.
Absolutely. And
which
Tom
is
Cruise would have nailed that.
yeah, I'm sure, which is very, very cool.
No, it is very cool.
That the story's
and that's
constructed
why
that way.
this is one of my favorite like Bollywood films for like that reason. Like it is like a rom-com, like, and it is still has fun, but it's a very good message for not just the love part, because the love conquers all thing. Like it's also about identity, and I think it's really good when you have a rom-com balance other like themes, and I think this like really nails that theme as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot going on here, and a lot to.
So these two relationships,
Do they
how
last?
do they last? How are we feeling about them?
I mean, I think DDLJ's does for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'd be very.
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm sure I'm sure they're gonna maybe have hiccups, especially with familial whatever stuff. But I think everything they went through, I think it's like, for better or for worse, they're together.
I think that they are genuinely have fallen in love with one another. I think DDLJ. I think they last, and maybe controversially, but I think in The Wedding Singer, I think Julia and Robbie last. They
I think so too.
there's something that in their relationship.
Yeah,
I
there's
think
something
they want
about Mary. Yeah,
there's something about Julia Gulia. I think Robbie and Julia want the same sort of things out of life, and I think it'll work out.
no, it seems sweet, right? Like it seems like just like I believe that.
Well, and his career's going to take off too, so he's going to be rich.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
I
he's gonna
forgot
start
about
Uncut Gems.
that. Yeah. In The Wedding Singer,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that the plot resolves on a plane to Las Vegas, just the convenience of he's telling the story with and they happen to be on the same plane, is just very funny to me.
Yeah, it's funny. Like The Wedding Singer is one of those things where like I'm not gonna nitpick about certain things because it serves for the comedy and I think it's fun. Like if you nitpick it, it's like come on, let's
The narrative elements that are coincidence are played off as rom-com magic,
Mhm.
Yeah.
rather than like not making sense or not fitting.
Mhm.
Like they
And we
all
love
totally
rom-com
fit.
magic here at the Tough
Yeah.
Cut.
We sure
Yeah.
do. We sure do. And I don't know, the Billy Idol plot point's very funny to me. There's a lot of it's just like, yeah, Wedding Singer's just fun. Also, I don't know if we talked about it before, but a little detail that I think is so funny is because Robbie lives in his, sibling's basement, essentially, like offshoot, the address listed above his little basement entrance, because it has its own egress, rad, is 1075 and a half. Is this his address?
Yeah, that's fun.
Because the main house is 1075, I think is
Nice.
very funny. It's a cute
Instead
detail.
of like an A-B situation, they do half.
Yeah, which is
Very
good, which is nice.
You're pretty.
Did you guys? So we talked. This was an off-the-record conversation. We, in planning some of our different potential brackets, one of the things we talked about was a directorial debut.
Right.
DDLJ is a directorial debut.
That's
Are
crazy.
you fucking
Isn't
serious?
that wild? Yeah.
Yo.
It was Aditya
Shout out to
Chopra's
Chopra, that's
directorial
great.
debut. Yeah. That's crazy.
The man has not directed that many movies, and it seems the rest of his filmography does not have the same positive reception.
Well, here's the thing: when you make it's like the Citizen Kane of it all. It's like
the
the
Orson
Orson
Welles
Welles.
kinda- yeah.
Like you made your first movie was the movie that lasted in Bollywood for 20 years. Come on, like though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
gonna axe that filmmaker for any of that.
Wait, is Shah Rukh Khan in every other movie? Oh no, not his most recent. In the other two, he
Well,
was
Shah Rukh Khan took a little break for like 2 years.
yeah, the king of Bollywood.
Did you guys know before this he was an anti-hero? He played a lot of villains.
Yep.
To my understanding, upon reading a little bit about it, post watching the movie, DDLJ was like a big turning point in his career. And like originally, he didn't really want to take the role because he's like, it does, I think was worried about it being like the character being too soft for him.
But he found out he's a soft boy.
Yeah, and then it turns out he's like the the king of Bollywood, the big hero. So many things.
Maybe Tom Cruise should be in more rom-coms.
Yeah, maybe. Imagining a world where the longest running film in India starred Tom Cruise.
Dude.
Do you think that's I bet that's the same world where Nicolas Cage played Aragorn.
Honestly,
And Superman.
take me there. I'd just kind of like to see it.
I don't know if it'll be good.
I don't need to stay there, but I want to see it. Should we vote? I feel like I feel like from the beginning we've all known what's going to happen here.
All right. Bring it home. Somebody kill me, please.
Oh, my penis. I'm voting for DDLJ. Right off the bat. Yeah, I'm going to go against the grain here.
No, Alex, what about you?
It's got to be DDLJ.
No! Oh, God! Oh, look how they massacred my boy. I am also voting for DDLJ.
That is 3 strikes. The wedding singer is out.
It is deceased.
Droids, it's basically the same movie as There's Something About Mary.
Whoa,
That's what that means.
No. Something About Mary was left uninterred, not buried. Like the wedding singer gets a tasteful funeral.
Love that.
With that, the finale for our 90s rom-com bracket will be Pretty Woman versus DDLJ, which should be a lot of fun. And hey, maybe we'll ask you for some honorable mentions, and you can send those to us on social media at ToughCutPod on all your favorites.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed today's show, review the show on all your favorite podcasting platforms. They don't have to be 5-star reviews, and as we said before, you can just bully us.
We'll take
relentlessly.
anything.
Yeah,
we'll take
Honestly,
anything.
Have we gotten any new ones?
We have actually. We've gotten a couple. I think the one time when we did it at the beginning of the episode actually led to a couple of people reviewing the show.
That's pretty smart.
Maybe we should change our structure a little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe we could just, put this audio in the beginning.
We can say it whenever. If they enjoyed, who should they share the episode with if they enjoyed it?
Share it with a newlywed couple.
A Scientologist.
Yeah. Hey,
or
free wedding gift.
If you
free
could share
wedding
this
gift.
episode with Tom Cruise.
I want an explanation. And Alex, as you were saying, a wedding as a wedding
Yeah,
gift.
you don't have to buy a wedding gift. Just send them the Tough Cut podcast.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. People love getting immaterial things for their wedding.
Whoa.
Purely vibes.
Yeah, that's all this podcast is. This is vibes. Till they pay us millions of dollars to do this.
I don't think we're ever making $1 million.
Okay, fine.
Per
2
year.
million. Oh.
We're well on the road. That big sponsorship deal.
Oh, shit.
With,
spoiler warning. We're going to be spoiling these movies.
That's the end of the episode.